It's a deserted street in Timisoara. Every 100 meters or so, a prostitute stands waiting for customers. Accompanied by a policeman, Mariana Petersel is trying to help the young women, but most of them want to be left alone. The policeman tells us they're afraid of what their pimps will do if they're seen talking to him and Mariana.
The pimps down on the street are just small fry. The ones really pulling the strings are in the casinos and the expensive restaurants. The ones on the streets only get a small percentage of the take.
Mariana works with an organization called the Young Generation, which looks after young women who've been forced into prostitution. In a good year, she can rescue 100 girls from the street, but it's dangerous work.
The city is our home. We have families here. Everyone knows everyone. And we don't want any harm to come to our families. You have to realize there are people making a lot of money by exploiting these girls.
Mariana's work isn't restricted to Romania. Her son is on his way to Italy to track down Romanian women who've been trafficked. He'll be going with Alexandra Mares, who used to be a prostitute, until Mariana brought her back to Romania 4 years ago. Now Alexandra is helping Mariana.
I want to make these girls realize what they need to do, but I know it takes time. You have to build up confidence. It was years before I understood this kind of life was bad for me.
Since then, Mariana has become something of a mother figure to Alexandra, whose own mother sold her to a pimp when she was 13. This is the first time Alexandra has been back to Italy since she quit prostitution. She knows the trip is likely to bring back some terrible memories.
Sometimes I had a gun to my head. Sometimes I was beaten. Either I was beaten by the pimp or by the customers. I was in a bad way.
Alexandra is afraid someone will recognize her. She's aware of how dangerous it is to try to talk to prostitutes. That's why we're filming with a hidden camera. But Alexandra is determined to make contact with some of these women so she can persuade them to leave. She's finding it hard to keep her feelings in check. In tears, she tells the girls she knows they're not telling the truth. "I know you need help," she cries, "because I used to say the same things you're telling me." But the girl insists she's not lying. She's fine, she says. "You can ask anyone." Alexandra gives up, telling the women they need to look after themselves. They're doing a dangerous job. The next day, Alexandra goes to see a completely different side of Italy, a side she's never seen before. Back then, she never even knew which city she was living in. Her pimp held her and other girls more or less captive in a small room. Without help, Alexandra never would have been able to escape.
The law needs to address this issue. The authorities should do their job properly instead of just talking about it. The women need to be protected. They won't ever come forward because they're afraid, and they don't expect justice.
Back in Timisoara, Mariana Petersel found these 2 girls working the streets and promised them a safe haven with her organization. She arranged for them to go to school, and now she's helping them find work. Perhaps just as importantly, she's also helped them regain their dignity and self-respect.
You can look people in the eye without feeling ashamed. You can be proud of what you're doing, for yourselves and for the people around you.
The women now look after young Sudanese refugees. Today, they're taking them to the zoo, a rare treat for the children who live in a refugee camp. And for the young women, it's also a rare chance to catch up on experiences they themselves missed out on as children.
These children are like my brothers and sisters. I didn't have a childhood either. I love looking after them.
Mariana Petersel can't give them back their childhood, but she can do her best to give them a future.
Okay.